And I think we may be just watching my phone, and we're live, flower friends. Welcome. My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler. If we've never met, so glad to see you guys here. All right, so we are live. All right, folks, let me get my papers in order here. Hello, Jill. I see you there. And tonight's going to be fun. I love talking about groups of flowers because they are just some of my, I just love all the flowers that I grow, y'all, is the basic bottom line problem. So I didn't have any Feverfew babies to show you yet. They were just sown. But how about these billy balls? This is Craspedia, and these were started on September 3rd. So they're actually 2 weeks old. And look how we've had high rate of germination. This is 100 of the small soil blocks right here on this tray. And this is the very same way that I start Feverfew. And I'm going to show you how to do that later on this evening after we talk about some other fun stuff. So let me move these babies out of the way. And I am not sure. All right, Fran, I'm so glad you're here. So I am just trying to get my bearings here, y'all. There it is. All right, let's see if that keeps it. All right, welcome, flower friends. So if you're new here, I just want to give you a really warm welcome. My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the owner of the Gardener's Workshop. And I have been a commercial flower farmer for the last 2.5 decades. And now I'm literally on a mission to help others to grow amazing cut flowers just like I do, whether it's for pleasure or for profit. It doesn't really matter because you really kind of do it all the same, except you might just do it a whole lot more if you're doing it for profit. And I do that by demonstrating on our live gardening shows, and then you have the option, you can purchase our tools, seeds, supplies, and over on our big website we have tons of resources. So we have everything you need to do it. And that is my greatest joy, is to help you actually be able to do it. So today's show, we're going to talk about, another one of my favorites, y'all. And I really love it, and that is Feverfew, and I'll share more about that. And they're just absolutely adorable little clusters or little buttons of flowers. Some are white, some are pale colors, some like little daisies. It's pretty amazing, and I will tell you that they fueled our bouquet program because they kind of fit everything, right? So I'll share with you how I started, and then I'm going to update y'all. Oh my gosh, y'all, the big calendar. Suzanne completed the front of it today, which is the guide. Oh my gosh, y'all. I mean, what a team that we have here at the Gardener's Workshop. I'm not kidding you. There's about 6 people involved, and it's just kind of magical for me to watch new products come alive, and I just cannot wait for y'all to have it in your hands. All right, so we'll talk about that in a little while, and then as always, I'll do a little Q&A at the end of the show. So if you have a question that comes up, just put @Lisa in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to them at the end. And friends, we just always appreciate it when you share and invite your friends. Now remember that in the app down here right at the bottom, that's the little share button next to the heart button. I just press the little heart button. Love it when y'all send me love. And you can share with your friends and let them know that you're here, and say, come on over, it's a live gardening show, for anybody you think that might actually enjoy it. And then as always, a little bit of housekeeping. Remember to always please double check your email address and your phone number when you're placing your order, and make sure it's a valid email address and phone number, because we can't ship to you. We can't give you a tracking ticket. So please double check that. Every single week we have a bad email. So please double check that for us. And remember that here inside the app, If you order just seeds, the shipping's on us. But if you order products, you only pay $11.95 once, no matter how many products you purchase. And remember, you can shop here in the app 24/7, right? So we do ship to all 50 of the United States, and we don't have any international shipping. Now, if you've just happened upon us on social media, I am so glad you've stopped in. What I'd like for you to know is that we do have a phone app. This is it. I have it going here, and your experience is so much better. In addition, you can comment and carry on with the other live viewers, as well as you can submit questions. See, we can't see you if you're on social media, and we can't talk to you. The app is free. You can go to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, and then it's the Shop app. We have two apps. There's a Learn and a Shop. They're both free. Download the Shop app and come right back over here. It doesn't take but about 30 seconds to actually do it. And we'll be right here waiting for you, and we'd love to have you join us. Now, each week it never fails that we sell out of something that I've talked about in the show, during the show, or shortly thereafter. So if you go to a product and it's out of stock, I would recommend that you get notified frequently. The team is actually bringing over stock from our big website and bringing it over. So that's all that means, is that you'll get a little ding on your phone saying, hey, it's back in stock. And lastly, for housekeeping friends, if you're seeing people post the sunflower emoji, and I see a bunch of them over there, those are people that are identifying themselves as the TGW family, and we absolutely love it. Those are our course students, as well as members of my private flower farmer club. So thank you for the love, y'all. I mean, it really does, pumps me up every time that I see it. And so before we jump into Feverfew, I want to talk just a little bit more about the calendar and tell y'all a little bit about it. So the pre-sale for the calendar will start October 1st. The calendar is $39.95, and it is the calendar that I have written about in all of my books, and it's included in my courses. I always talk about how it's the brains of my farm. You know, I fill it out in the off season, which for me is usually either December or January. I complete it for the year, and that means that no matter how hot and how exhausted we are here on the farm, as long as I have my glasses on and I can walk up to that calendar, it tells me what seeds might need to be started, or you know, you can put all kinds of information on there, but it's primarily for us a seed starting and planting guide. It tells us when we're going to plant, and then we count back from that and figure out from when we're going to start our seeds. Now, this calendar is big. It's 20 inches wide and 30 inches tall. It's got 12 months plus 2 additional pages. The first page is my step-by-step guide on how to customize this calendar to your frost dates and your winter low. And so that's the thing about it. It's like, this is not filled out for my garden or for anybody's garden. It gives you the equations, and you can simply fill it out and then mark up your calendar, y'all. And it just becomes the most powerful tool. I think it's going to be more powerful than the books that I've written, because it's simply sitting down, counting and marking, and then once it's done, and doing it in the winter when you've got, you know, brain waves, you're not exhausted and hot, right? So here's the bottom line. Pre-sale opens October 1st. All pre-sale sales, purchases, will get invited to the free workshop that I am going to do, walking you through. There's 8 actual succession planting windows on the calendar. One of them is the sunflowers. The rest of them are cool and warm season. We're going to go through every one, and I'm going to talk you through it so you can mark your windows of planting on your calendar. And so I'm hoping that's going to jumpstart you, and I just can't wait for you to get the calendar. And I didn't even bring it up as usual. I get to talking, so I've just brought it up. So you can click on the calendar once it pops, and to get on the wait list. And that simply means that you'll get an email the day it goes on pre-sale. And I want you to do that. I am not going to be so brazen as to think that the first printing is going to sell out. But I just, in the back of my mind, remember that the first printing of the Cut Flower Handbook sold out in 2 days with the publisher. And that really caused a snafu, and it would with us. So I'm just saying, all you that my people, get on the list and then purchase it as soon as the pre-sale opens if you want it. And I'm telling you, it'll change your world. This tool is what made me the stellar 3-season succession planting farmer that I am. I could have never done it otherwise. I mean, it kept us focused, kept us on point, and then you can build on it so much. I mean, we would even get down to writing when seeds should be ordered and when gardens had to be, or beds had to be prepared. I suggest starting out really simple, but it can be a major tool on your farm. So getting on the wait list is the beginning of all of that. Now, I of course don't have any Feverfew to actually show you guys because it's not that season, right? But I want to talk about Feverfew and why I love it so darn much. It is another one of those staple flowers. It's just so blooming useful. And, you know, when we were in high production, we grew a lot of Feverfew because our commercial customers, our florists loved it as much as we did for bouquets. We had a huge bouquet program. I mean, we were making hundreds of bouquets every week. And we were going to farmers markets and selling individual stems there as well as here on our members only. And Feverfew was always a favorite. It does have a fragrance. And the very first one that I'm bringing up, y'all, you know I say that they're all my favorites. And I will say, I'm going to show you 4 different Feverfews, and 3 of them are big time favorites. The 4th one I'm okay with, and I'll tell you which one and what we're doing here. So Virgo is the first one I'm going to show you, and I have to say that Virgo A is the slowest one to germinate, so do not despair. It takes probably 3 weeks sometimes for this seed to pop, where all the other Feverfews are like smoking it. What I love about Virgo is it has a tighter little head, and so it's not a big wide head like some of them can be. It's a tighter little head, but what I love is, I'm trying to look right here on this picture, these are the more immature blooms. You can cut this variety of Feverfew, as well as maybe a couple others, but no, one other maybe. You can cut this Feverfew early when it hasn't even really started to open the bloom yet, and use it as filler. And because we grew so much of it, I counted on that. So that meant that I was cutting some of the Feverfew probably 10 or 14 days before it actually started coloring up, to use it as actual fillers in our spring bouquets. And that was just so useful. It's the easiest one to strip. The heads are tighter. They hydrate beautifully. They're very different than the single and the ultra. But Virgo is just, and it's white with I guess you would describe that as a buttercream center. So none of them are white, at least this one isn't. But Virgo is definitely one of my favorites, and it doesn't get quite as tall and unruly as some of the other Feverfews. So Virgo is an A+ in my book, just because I can start cutting it earlier. It doesn't need as much. It needs to be netted for sure, but it's not quite. I mean, even when you net some of the others, they're so ferocious, they'll just bend over. They'll just fold on the netting if it's not in the right place. So Virgo is an A+, y'all. Totally love that one. Now, this is Vegmo Sunny Ball, and it basically has, so this is a Vegmo. That is not. Virgo is not a Vegmo. Vegmo is a series. And so this is Vegmo Sunny Ball, and it kind of has that same habit as Virgo does. It's just a different color. So it is definitely in, right? And so this one you can also cut early, and it can get a little bit more open, and it's just a totally different color. They do tend to all bloom at the same time, y'all, and I'll share some tips with you in a moment about how you can extend the season. But the Vegmo Sunny Ball is just a great color. So that is a real favorite. Y'all, I'm just not doing my job of changing seeds. That one's coming. So Vegmo Sunny Ball, also like Virgo, is not as tall as some of the others. In general, the Vegmo series is a little bit more controlled, particularly in this color. So I absolutely love this one. I mean, I love them all. And I'll tell you that I came to have a greater appreciation for all the Feverfews after talking to Jenny Love. She was here several years ago when we recorded the Farmer Florist School, one of our online courses. And we were talking about the fact that, you know, I grew Feverfew, and which was her favorite. She said, I don't have a favorite. I grow them all. You know, she was doing lots of big events. And she said every Feverfew has great qualities. And she grew every single one of them. And from that day forward, I started growing every single one of them. And I also was able to share that information with my florists, and it made them love it even more, right? So this is the one, this is the first one I ever grew. And it's had several names through the years. It's currently being called Tetra Wonder White. White Wonder. And this is like a little double, it's a frillier little bloom. I would say this is my least favorite of all of them. I like it, but I like the others more. And the one reason is look how starkly white this is. It is so easy to use too much of this in a bouquet. And that's what I want to caution you about, not only specifically with this one, but when you have an abundant flower, like all the Feverfews tend to kind of bloom at the same time if you don't manage them. And that makes you put more of them in bouquets. And let me just tell you something. You put more than one stick of this in a bouquet, the bouquets are just going to look like white clouds. And we've done it. As I'm talking from firsthand experience. And it's so hard not to do it because you have so darn much. I mean, we get hundreds of bunches of Feverfew. They all bloom at the same time, and you just need to know that. And this one is the starkest white of all of them. There are certainly desires for this as far as people doing weddings and that kind of stuff. But Tetra White Wonder was once called Balls Ultra, and there was another name way back in the day. This is the strongest germinator, and this is also the strongest grower. It is really tall, and the heads get really heavy fast. So definitely, I mean, they all must be netted. This one is a goner, beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you don't net it. Then this next one, after Virgo, this is my other favorite. This is Vegmo Single. Look at that, y'all. It's like little teeny daisies. The reason I love this one so much, it's the most casual looking one. You know, this is a great contributor to bouquet building. You can put 2 stems of this because it's not all white, y'all. I mean, it really goes well with garden flowers, you know, zinnias and sunflowers and just all of those great summer flowers and early, late cool flowers. So Vegmo Single, it does grow big. It's pretty ferocious, meaning just big and voluptuous. And they all are just so spectacular. So how would I extend the season on all of these? So first off, Feverfew is winter hardy to zone 5. And it's a cool season hardy annual. It's a cool flower. That's why we're talking about it now, right? So, because they can be started now. Now, they are winter hardy down to -10, which I believe is USDA zone 5, I think. That may have changed. And, you know, you plant them in the fall, and then to extend the bloom, we plant them again in very early spring, and this is one of those ones that I even push, when we were in high production especially, we would actually plant Feverfew again 6 to 8 weeks after my very early spring planting. I mean, if you are doing a bouquet program or you're doing a big farmer's market, you have customers, right? I mean, if you're just starting out, you might not want to overdose yourself on this. Just plant them in the fall and very early spring, whichever, fall if it works, if it's winter hardy for you. But if you're up and selling, if you're doing bouquet subscriptions or supermarkets, or you have a farm stand that's really selling flowers, then yes, I would plant 3 different times. Now, the last planting might not be as voluptuous as your spring or your fall planting, but it's still tall enough, especially the taller ones, the Vegmo series. And it's just really, really useful. And you can pinch. And I haven't really ever deliberately pinched Feverfew, but sure, you can do it. And so there's lots of experiments that you can do on crops. For instance, one of the things that Jenny Love on that same visit and I talked about was trying to extend the bloom season of mountain mint, which is a huge beneficial filler for everybody involved, but it all blooms at once. So we talked about literally taking a hedge trimmer and cutting half of the bed literally just about down to the ground after it's, starting to shoot up and it's 24 inches, to slow that side down. You can basically do that with anything. And Feverfew is one that I feel like that you could actually do that with. And the other thing, deer typically do not like Feverfew. How beneficial is that? So, how I start Feverfew, let me show you. We start them in the small soil blocks. And some of the Feverfews are actually pelleted, which, around here, we have old eyes. We love pelleted seeds. The pelleted product that is the pelleting is basically a clay product. I'm trying to get rid of my wire. Sorry. We do so many different shows in different ways here now that I don't recognize when things aren't exactly where they're supposed to be. All right, so I am going to show you how I make soil blocks. And, soil blocking is a method of seed starting. It's our customer's favorite. Soil blocking allowed me to become a flower farmer. I still have no green or hoop houses. I do everything now inside this building. My hair's kind of a little crazy, isn't it? But I used to do all this in my bungalow, kitchen, literally, and pantry. That's when I didn't have this building. And so I was drawn to soil blocking because of its space savviness. You can do a lot in a very small space. And that is still true for us now. I do all my seed starting in a 10 by 10 room. This is just a giant garage, y'all. And I can support like 13,000 seedlings and support them growing up in that 10 by 10 room. That's how we produced over 100,000 seedlings a year when we were in high production. So that's what drew me to soil blocking. And this is the soil blocker. We import these from England. We still buy them from the Ladbroke company. That is the original soil blocker company. And the blocking mix that I use is made to bind together, because our soil block, the block is the container, y'all. So you don't want it loose and fluffy like most seed starting mix. So you hold the stationary bar and you push it down into the wet mix twice, at least I do. And I use a potato masher to strike off any excess just to make the bottom flat, right? And now I use, because of the way that I was forced to start seeds inside in my house, I had to figure out a way to do it with no drainage holes. And so we use flat bottom trays with no drainage holes, and y'all have been doing that way for 30 years, and it works great. This means you can do it anywhere in your home. We actually call it like a tabletop method of seed starting because of that. And literally you just put it down. This is a reusable foam tray, and just give it a push and a squeeze, and just that quickly, you just made 20 little containers, y'all. And the seed will grow in this block until it's planted out in the garden in like 4 to 6 weeks. Let's see what the instructions say. So let me just turn this around so we can work. All right, right on all of our seed packets tell you exactly how to start the seed. You do not have to guess. So a cool season hardy annual that prefers full sun may be considered a short-lived perennial in certain climates, best grown as an annual for flower production. Start seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before your planting date, or plant seeds directly in the garden. We always list, the first method listed is always my preferred method. You can certainly direct sow anything you want in the garden, but I will tell you, it is much harder and more labor intensive to get a decent stand of plants. So it says, do not cover seeds with soil, and allow 7 to 14 days to germinate. All right, so this is the Vegmo single, and I'm going to use our little seed pan. And what did I do? I had, here they are, my pelleted. These, whatever they're pelleted seeds, they typically come to you inside a seed packet, inside one of these little tubes. Oh, y'all, I'm going to have a... Excuse me. Pretty sure I'm going to sneeze again. I'm having a tough time. All right. The reason they're in these little capsules is to keep the pelleting from being smashed when they get mailed. So I am going to wipe this toothpick off. Get a little saliva, and when you use this static-free little aluminum seed pan, literally when you touch that toothpick to the seed, can you see that little white seed? It literally just jumped on the end. So I just pushed it onto the soil and left it there. When you are sowing seeds, it is best to sow seeds into nice, moist blocks that you just made. Like for instance, y'all, am I getting sick? If you made the blocks tonight and then wanted to sow the seeds tomorrow, it wouldn't be this easy. It's because the high moisture content. And I'm literally just firmly seeding it on the top. I don't know if y'all can even still see the little white seeds. And that clay just starts to melt away as soon as it gets contact. That's how you sow seeds that do not get covered with soil. And that's because these seeds need light to germinate. Now, let me show you how simple it is to get started. So this has been our #1 customer product we've sold it since 2005. And it's a #1 favorite for over 20 years. Y'all, I'm all kind of cattywampus here. All right, so this is the soil block. Let me bring it up. Should have just brought it up for that demonstration. Sorry. All right, so this is the soil block maker kit, which has everything in it that you need to get started soil blocking. So it comes with a bag of the ready-made mix. This has everything in it. You just add water, and this is approximately like a 20-cup bag, 6 quarts, 20-cup bag. So I would add about 6.5 cups of water to this. It's 3 parts dry mix to 1 part water. Because you saw, if you have trouble getting the blocks to come out of the blocker, I can almost promise you it's too dry. Add more water. So it comes with a ready-made blocking mix. That 6-quart bag will make about 600 of those little individual blocks. It also comes with your choice of either 3 cool season seeds, and looky there, there's a Feverfew, Indian Summer, and the Rocket Snaps. Or you can choose 3 warm season seeds. Totally your choice. You make that choice when you're actually checking out. It also includes my Seed Starting Made Easy online course. Y'all, this tells you everything. How to start, how to grow the transplants, how to harden them off, how to get them outside in the garden. It even has a session on direct seeding out into the garden, as well as sowing sunflowers in plug trays. This is Yours, you own it, you have unlimited lifetime access to it, so that is part of the kit. Then it of course includes the Ladbroke 3/4 inch soil blocker. It comes with 5 of these reusable foam trays. Each tray holds 3 sets of 20. There is your aluminum seed pan, the toothpicks, and the little wooden plant markers, which actually I use those like little tools if I have to handle my soil blocks. So you get all of this stuff, y'all. And it is $89.95. I don't know if you bought plants recently. We were just talking about that I planted some plants out in my vegetable bed around my peppers. I mean, literally, it's like the perimeter around about a 6-foot end of my bed, and I spent over $100 on those plants. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I understand why they cost that much. I mean, I'm paying the same bills, right? But starting your own is incredibly economical. Not to mention you have access to all the varieties that you're not going to find down at the local garden center. So that is the Soil Block Maker Kit, and it has everything that you need to get started soil blocking. Can't recommend it enough. And I will warn you, it is very addictive because of the healthy growing environment, meaning there's no container, so that the roots get a lot of oxygen. I found it easier to get seeds to germinate in soil blocks versus other methods. They grow quicker. You shave about 1/3 of the growing time off, and it's because the roots get so much oxygen. So can't recommend that enough. Now, this is my favorite little, we have 2 watering cans. And I love, this is the one that's in my house. And so this, I'll show you how I water. So here's another tray. This is a tray of Rudbeckia. And so what is so important is to have a little watering can. Y'all, I'm supposed to change products. I am so bad. Here it comes. So the key is to not pour water directly on the blocks. You want to pour water, like for instance, I'm going to try to do this on camera without water in the set. See how I'm pouring water kind of up against the side of the tray? I'm not pouring it on the actual blocks. And you don't want to like do it super fast and cause like a little wave in there, and that'll wash away. But I water pretty quickly in the mornings, and having a watering can that is simple and easy to use. Literally, you can just dip this. This holds 2 cups. I believe this one does. Wait a minute. I have so many screens I have to look at here. It's $31.95. It is stainless steel. I do believe this is 2 cups. And you want to know what my sister's favorite use of this thing is to use it as a vase. We frequently do little flower arrangements on the bouquet studio that happens on for the Friday show for this. And it is called the Espresso Watering Can. And this is just a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know if you have any gardeners in your family or your life. This little watering can with a pair of gloves and maybe the little mini dibber is like just the most special little gift, or some packs of seeds, right? So this is the espresso can, which is perfect for watering not only your soil blocks, flower arrangements, and your house plants. And it's small and compact enough that you can just leave it sitting out, and it looks really good. So love the espresso can. We typically sell a lot of those over the holidays, and then we can't get them for 6 months again, so we have them right now. All right, let's see what's next. Oh, so I want to talk about and show you, so you know how we sowed the seeds on the surface of these blocks, right? Many of the seeds that I sow are surface sown, which means they need light and oxygen to actually sprout and germinate. So one of the problems with that is the surface dries out first. And so the way that I combat that is that we use wide weave burlap. This allows air circulation, but yet it traps moisture. Nothing wrong with domes and plastic. However, it is very easy to introduce disease or funguses like dampening off. And I know my personal limitations. If you're using domes or plastic, you really have to monitor those trays really well. They can get super dripping wet under that plastic in just a few hours. For me, on my farm, I go to my grow room first thing in the morning. It's the first job done at dark 30. And then those plants don't see me again till the next day. I mean, we're too busy, right? And so this just worked out beautifully for me. So literally you can cut it. It comes, did I bring it up? I did not. Gosh, y'all, I need a supervisor here or something. I just brought it up. It's a 36-inch approximately square. It's like $3.95. You can cut it to any size. And so we cut them sometimes. This fits actually the size tray that comes in the kit. But literally, I would take this tray in there, put it on the seedling heat mat that's got a cookie cooling rack on top of it. And literally, that's it, y'all. You're just laying it on top. And in the morning when I come out to water, I pull it back, take care of my watering duties. And at the first sign of seeds starting to crack, I remove the burlap. Not only is its job pretty much done, but you don't want those little seedlings to pop through the burlap, right? Because then you'll rip them out the next time that you pull the burlap back. So the burlap is $3.95 for one piece, or you can get a 3-pack for $9.95. And it's just one of those things that's nice to have in your toolbox, and it's great for those surface sown seeds, which for us, that is the lion's share. Now, I mentioned the seedling heat mat, and yes, even cool season hardy annuals need some warmth. Y'all, I never have enough room, do I? Maybe if I put this back where I got it from, it would be helpful. So, even though they're cool season hardy annuals, they need warmth. The change in temperatures oftentimes is exactly what a seed needs to know it's time to sprout, right? So this is the seedling heat mat. It'll hold 4 of those trays that I just showed you in the kit, which is 240 blocks, y'all. Pretty impressive, isn't it? And it has a built-in thermostat, which is keyed off of the air temperature. That's what regulates the temperature of this mat, is the air temperature. And so you plug that in. For cool season hardy annuals, we recommend that the air temperature be about 65 to 70 degrees. And in addition to that cooler air temperature, we like to use a cookie cooling rack. Yep, this was my mom's for her cookies. And literally you just put that over the heat mat, and that creates a little air space, and that just cools the warmth down a little bit, because these guys don't need heat. They just need 24/7 consistent warmth. So we put the cookie cooling rack on, and literally that is what your tray sits on. And I mean, this is what it would look like, potentially, right? And you come out in the morning, I pull this back, I water, and then once I see 50% of the seeds sprouting, which the heat induces, then I take it off of this and move it to a grow light. And that is simply how we get our seeds to actually sprout. Now, the seedling heat mat is $39.95. As I mentioned, it has a built-in thermostat. And there is a super big one of these over on our big website if you need that. But that's just an essential tool to get your seeds to actually sprout. So let's see what, oh gosh, support netting. Y'all, I am suffering so much. We had torrential rain yesterday, or yeah, all yesterday morning, then really bad yesterday evening and night, and we lost a lot of crops. Anything that wasn't netted, that was tall and had big heads on it, is down in the dirt. And it's all because we just didn't get to netting all of our stuff. And, you know, I don't put the pressure on to do that anymore because we're not in production, but it just rips my heart out. That gorgeous sylphid is all bent, and now the blooms are all crooked. And I'm going to tell you how you can avoid having that happen. Everything that's netted is still in great shape. Anything that's not netted is a problem. So flower support netting, is plastic, and I actually posted today a great video on social media. It's on Facebook, Instagram, it's on all of them, TikTok, and it's even on YouTube Shorts, of how you can remove this even when the bed is a bloomin' mess. I show you. I do it actually, and so this is the flower support netting. It has 6-inch square holes, and it's plastic. It is reusable from year to year. You literally suspend it above crops at about the halfway to maturity level. You use just wooden stakes or T-posts to install it. You don't make it super tight, but it's taut, and your flowers just grow up through it. And when it's installed properly, you can actually cut through it very easily, and you can uninstall it. And that video today really shows it. Now, it's available. We plant Feverfew. Y'all, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I have to blow my nose, I think. Or maybe just wipe my nose. Too much information, right? Oh, boy. I don't want to get a cold. So, we plant Feverfew 4 rows in a 30-inch wide bed. They're 6 inches apart in the row. This is for a cutting garden, and flower support netting is a must. We also use flower support netting as a planting grid. Bobo rolls it out on the bed top and uses it to plant in. It makes planting go so quickly, and you can plant in straight lines, which really helps that. Now, it comes in, it's all 36 inches wide, and it comes in a 20-foot piece, which is $11.95, or a 50-foot piece for $21.95. You can also get bigger pieces over on our big website if needed, but just don't do the heartache, man. I mean, for us, what typically happens is mostly of our cool flowers get netted. Then the first warm season, which is the biggest planting of warm season, gets netted. And it's the second and the third successions that we are just so busy harvesting and doing all these other things that it gets away from us. And once they get too tall, it just isn't worth even trying. But flower supporting netting is essential, and it can change your world. A 10-minute torrential downpour can lay all your flowers down, and that is what stops that from happening now. So let's see what else we have here. Oh, so my favorite shears, and then we're going to talk about conditioning Feverfew, because you know they're a member of the Dirty Dozen. So these are the shears that I use. These are literally mine. And I love them because of how small and lightweight and easy. They have a spring, so that means half the action is done for you. I use this for woodies, sunflowers, all the flowers that we cut. Absolutely love it. And it you can cut it at any stage, and it does continue to develop, and you'll have to experiment. Sometimes you can have trouble harvesting if those wider heads, like that Ultra, the really white one, has a lot of branching, and you really need to strip it. I would not leave anything probably below 3 or 4 inches from the top. All that other stuff comes off. If you don't, you'll have hydrating troubles. And so when we harvest it, I go all the way to the bottom of the stem. The stems grow from, it's like a rudbeckia. They grow from the base of the plant. It's like a bunch of leaves down there. So go all the way down if you want some decent regrowth. The shears are $41.95, and I just find them incredibly essential. And you can find this actually in the app. I didn't bring it up tonight. This is the pouch. This is my pouch, by the way. It's got a clip, y'all. That means it is always on my pants pocket, and I never lay my clippers down. That's why I keep clippers for years, not months, as most people, because they lay them down in the garden and then you never see them again, right? So those are the ones that we just absolutely love. Now, did I mention that Feverfew is a part of the Dirty Dozen? The Dirty Dozen are flowers that pollute the water more than other flowers typically do. And they do that by expelling just a lot of debris. The minute that stem hits the water surface, I mean, I see it in my mind. there's just an explosion that happens. And if there's any bacteria existing in that water bucket, which there is if you don't wash buckets and you don't use CVBN tablets, that bacteria goes into high gear reproduction and just starts producing, because it's got food now, right? CVBN tablets are not flower food. This is a pre-treatment. We put, it's a chlorine treatment. We put 1 tablet in every harvest bucket. You put 1 tablet to a gallon of water. And what that does, if you have clean buckets and then you use this, you've just bought your flowers 2 days of more base life. Because bacteria and rotting from the bottom up is what takes flowers out, right? And when you have clean water with CVBN in it, the first fresh drink that stem gets is full of bacteria-free water. And so, but otherwise, it's just got bacteria all up and down the stem, and it just explains why flowers just don't last as long. So you can get these in 2 different ways. They come in this little 80-count bottle. You can get 1 bottle for $18.95 or 2 for $29.95, or you can get the 800 count bottle if you're growing for $71.95. They keep from year to year. So if you're doing a lot of harvesting, this is definitely the best bargain for you. But CVBN, on the product, it lists all the dirty dozen. I mean, we're talking about dahlias, zinnias, daffodils, marigolds, anybody that just really clouds up the water. I don't know if you've ever put zinnias in a clear vase before and then walked by a day later and it's like, oh my gosh, look how cloudy the water is. That's all bacteria at work, y'all. That's what prevents it. So that's what we call a pre-treatment. That's what's in the harvest bucket. Then when the flowers go into the vase, whether that's with you or with a customer, that's when we add the flower food. Flower food has a little bit of a biocide, which continues what the chlorine does in keeping the water clean. It has nutrition, and it has a pH balancer in it that keeps the stems open so water can flow up. Flower food does make a huge difference when your flowers are actually drinking, which your garden flowers will be drinking. So this comes in a couple of different ways. You can get pint size, which this is the quart size. You can get a pint size, 100 packs for $12.95. This is a quart. 50 pack is $11.95, or 100 pack is $19.95. These are all things, friends, that if you're a flower junkie like we are, you just need to have them, and you're going to need them. And not having them when you need them just means your flowers just don't last quite as long. And then I think the last 2 things I have to show you and to talk about is the Cut Flower Handbook. I want to say that having the Cut Flower Handbook and the new big calendar, I mean, y'all, you'll be on fire. You have all the information you need to become an incredible 3-season succession planter. So the Cut Flower Handbook on page 162 has 3 pages on Feverfew. This is one of my, I just love this picture. My sister, I can remember when Suzanne and I took this picture. Because y'all do know that all the flowers in this book I grew, right? And just absolutely love Feverfew. I mean, I just love it like that. It's just the cutest, daintiest little flower. So this includes all the growing facts, harvesting, special flower farmer insider tips, which I read this book all the time. You'd think I'd memorized it all by now, but I haven't, y'all. The Cut Flower Handbook has everything you need, from starting to what to grow, how to treat it, how to get set up with your cutting garden and harvesting and conditioning. And I would love to sign a book for you. And as always, we include a bonus when you buy the books from us. This book includes a PDF download of 6 flowers that we couldn't fit them in the book, y'all. 5 of these are cool. So you get 46 cool season flowers with the Cut Flower Handbook when you buy it from us. 41 in the book, 5 on the PDF download. And totally would love to do that. And then, you know, if you're just learning about cool season hardy annuals, which is what Cool Flowers is all about, and you haven't read the book that started it all, this is the book, y'all. Cool Flowers, it's an easy read. It really explains the basic concept, and this is a great place to get started. This book this was the first book I ever did a bonus with. I actually copied from somebody that I was doing their Bible study, and she had a book, and she had this book study that when you bought it from Lifeway, I think it was, you got this free book study, and I got it, and I thought, what a fabulous idea. And that's what started it all. And this book study really is about the behind the scenes of the book and what maybe a deeper meaning of things. And anyway, would love to sign a book for you. And when you buy it from us, you get the free video book study. And would love to actually do that. So friends, it is time to wrap it up. And in a couple of minutes, I will answer some of those questions. And let's see, I just want to remind everybody that to check out the tons of resources we have over at thegardenersworkshop.com, y'all. And I tell you, the really simplest way to stay in the loop is, if you don't already, sign up for our newsletter. And the Farm News is at the bottom of every one of our web pages over on our big website. That way you won't miss out on any, we don't always frequently do sales and stuff, but when we do, that's where it's announced, and special events, and it's just a good keeping you in the loop. But most importantly, it's more content than it is about buying stuff, and it's very timely. Jessie, who is a flower farmer, takes care of all of that, and she really sends out and reminds you of videos or blogs or stuff that are timely, and you'll just absolutely love it. Now, we have 2 podcasts, Field and Garden and Seed Talk. There's a Seed Talk episode number 101. It's called Growing Perennials as Annuals for Cut Flowers. And Feverfew is most likely in there. I don't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure it does. So I already told you about the books. And I'm just hoping that you're going to dive in and get a little Feverfew fever, friends. Because once you do it successfully, you'll really love it. And remember to join the big show on Friday, which is where we really highlight all of the harvest. And Suzanne does the bouquet studio. We do a giveaway on Fridays. It's really a lot of fun. And then be sure that the notifications are turned on inside your app. That Suzanne and I did for the first time last week. You can go back and watch it in the app. We did a live from the garden. We couldn't today. It's so wet out there. But we never know when that's going to happen, because the light has to be right. I have to have the right people here to help me. And so if your notifications are on, you'll get a little ding on your phone that'll say live from the garden. And it was so much fun, y'all. It was so much fun. We love doing it. So you can count on seeing more of that. So friends, stick around, and I am going to do this little Q&A, and I appreciate, if you're leaving, I appreciate you joining me. And I went to look for questions, and the first thing I see, Charlene, is I use those same cutters to cut my goat's feet. I love that, y'all. I want a donkey in the worst kind of way. City won't really let me have one, but anyway. All right, hey everybody, I'm just looking for questions. All right, here's one from Linda. Just started using Bio 360 on our farm this week. It's going good so far, but I'm wondering about the size of the poked holes. We are just creating a finger width hole and dropping the soil blocks in and firming. Sound right to you? Yes. So let me tell you what the really big difference is in the hole. First off, you've got the right idea. The smaller the hole, the less light that gets in, which means the less weed seeds that get light to grow and sprout weeds, right? But you want to be sure that it's at least big enough for the plant to get out of. Bobo can make the tiniest holes you have ever seen, and she can plant in them. I don't even know how she gets 2 fingers in there to firm them, actually. So this, for cool season, that works really, really well. Smaller holes, super tight, because actually the film kind of acts like a little row cover. You know what I mean? It protects the plant a little bit. However, when it's hot outside, we try to make the hole a little bit bigger, because especially if it's black side up, it'll toast that seedling really, really quickly. So yes, that does sound right to me, Linda, and good luck. And I want to just say that there is a learning curve with Bio 360. Took me a couple of years of just making all the mistakes, from the beds not being pretty flat on top, to not covering the edges properly, to making the holes too big, which meant wind could get under, and when wind gets under it is when the problems start. But we have great success with it now, and you just learn with time, so don't be discouraged if you have a problem. Feverfew can be grown now. It lasts through winter zone 8 here. So if you're in zone 8A, that's the same as me. Yes, you would. I mean, Feverfew is winter hardy to zone 5. That is negative 10 degrees in the wintertime, and it survives that. It's a super hardy plant. So the benefit of planting it in fall is it will bloom earlier, taller, and have more stems next year. So yes, plant it now. Can we wait list or reserve the calendar? Yes, Kay, you can actually get on the wait list here in the app or over on our website. And when you get on the wait list, that means that on October 1st, I believe it is, you will get an email. And as soon as you get the email, that just says it's in stock. As soon as we put them in stock for pre-sale, and then they're shipping, typically our plan, and y'all know how plans go, is mid-November. Plenty of time to get planned for next year. But our fingers are crossed on all of that, right? Can I use it on a raised bed? Yes, netting works on any bed. I just netted my cut flower kale that's in an 18-inch raised bed. And I just netted it last week. So yes, you can use it anywhere. Love all the sunflowers, y'all. Kay, I can't answer that because I don't have tech help here. But if you're concerned that you're not on the wait list, go to the website and get on the wait list over there. Does Virgo rebloom? It really depends on your conditions, Kay. And yes, I mean, I don't know how long. It depends on how hot and humid you might get. But we get continuous blooms probably for 4 weeks. All right, I want to be on the yeah, so if y'all don't feel like it, and I can't do it while I am on the show, you know, seeing what y'all are, actually, I think I can. Wait a minute. So let me find where I am. I forgot I have this list over here. All right, so I have that over there. So I'm going to leave the live and I'm going to go to the calendar, and I should not be on the wait list. So let's see if it'll let me. Nothing like doing a tutorial while we're live, right? I wonder if, if we hit shop at the bottom of the page, it brings up all the products. And add to wait list. So I don't know if that worked or not. I agree with y'all. There's no confirmation. So I'll have to ask about that. But you have time, right? And you'll be, just go to the website and get on it over there. So sorry about that. Tech stuff makes me crazy. All right. So, Kimberly, I left mine in my little garden after they seemed spent. Now the cooler nights, they're back blooming. Yeah, Feverfew is pretty dadgum amazing that way. I started my sweet peas the 5th of this month thinking it was time for my zone 8. I'm afraid I started too early. They're super leggy and not a lot of strength to the stem. Is there any way to save them? Let me just tell you the first big grown-up major step you can take as a gardener or a flower grower. Just compost them and start again. We do not start our sweet peas typically until 2 weeks before we're going to plant them, and that's like in October. I'll probably start my sweet peas October, maybe the first week in October. And it's like, it's okay to do that. We do that kind of stuff all the time because they're going to get leggy. It's too hot outside. They're going to be stressed, and you do not want to take up your garden space with stressed seedlings. You want to plant strong, healthy seedlings. So I don't know if you can do what you want, obviously, but that's what I would do. Yes, Feverfew will reseed. Doesn't always come, not all the varieties do that though. Lisa, if I plant my seedlings out too early, like a couple of weeks before fall frost, will that be okay first time planting in late fall? So Tina, the proper fall planting time is 6 to 8 weeks before your first average frost. For instance, mine's mid-November. And so 1st of October is when we target to plant out. And the reason that you do that is to give your plants the runway they need before frost and getting cold so they can get established before they go dormant. So I'm not sure what you think early is. If it's a couple weeks before fall, that's really late. That just means your plants are not established and they have to face frost. Lisa, do you pinch your fall planted Feverfew, or do you wait till spring when they're starting back growing? Yes, we typically try to, if we're going to pinch anything that's fall planted, we prefer to pinch in very early spring once we uncover, if they've been covered over winter, and when they start growing. That's the best time. All right, Trisha, I have some Feverfew. Can I move them to a different spot right now? I'm in southwestern Virginia. I don't know when you can. Now would be the time to transplant them. They aren't long-lived perennials, so if you move them and they die, it was probably because they've already bloomed this year and they just don't have that strong will. So yes, fall is the time to transplant anything that survives winter. I know I asked this last time, but I had to leave and didn't get your answer. But what is the gold in your mix? Are you talking about marigolds, Tina? That would be cocoa gold. I have customers that plan this in zone 7 and it comes back every year. It can reseed. Feverfew, it depends. If you're a commercial farmer, meaning you're running a business, you would never rely on reseeding for anything. I mean, that's just not reliable. Not only do they not come back true frequently if they're hybrids, but they're later. I mean, I get blooms so much earlier than reseeded stuff would. But yes, Feverfew can reseed, and a plant can live a couple of years and then they just die off. They are short-lived perennials, let's put it that way. This time of year, everyone's starting with little coughs and sneezes. Oh my gosh, I'm about to lose my mind. Oh, Robin, congrats on your soul blocking kit. Lisa, where can I get the green mixing container? You know where you can find that? They used to have it. We sold it years ago, but it broke. We couldn't ship it. It broke every time we shipped it to people. Home Depot, I think. It's a potting tray. So search for that green potting tray and see what comes up. I use the same cutter to trim my goat's feet. I'm going to tell that story. What flowers are you not supposed to use CVB in, and can they all use them? Robin, I put CVB in all buckets. It doesn't benefit all plant stems, but it doesn't hurt any of them. I even put it in basil and lisianthus and hydrangeas, even though they don't pollute. It's just too hard to keep track of which ones do and which ones don't, so they all get it. What kind of snap should I start with? All the snaps that we grow, there's, I think, 6 or 7 different varieties. All the mixes are all strong growers. They start blooming at their group 1 blooms first, group 2, then group 3, and group 4. I plant them all at the same time in fall. They're all started in there. And then they bloom out. They start at the end of March, early April in my 8A garden. But look at them. Then the colors, the Chantilly I love. It's early. Rocket's the last one, Chantilly's the first, and Opus and Madame Butterfly are in between, and those are just gorgeous. So I grow all of them. We grow them all, but those are my favorites. I bought the Cut Flower Handbook and the Cool Flower book and didn't see anything about the PDF. Yes, so if you look on the bookmark, this is the PDF download for the Cut Flower Handbook, and you should have gotten a link in an email for the Cool Flower book study, sorry. And if you didn't get a bookmark, but there it is on the bookmark, and if you can't find the link, just reach out to info@thegardenersworkshop.com, and they'll verify you, and then they'll send you whatever you need. Do you trim back cold hardy annuals going into winter temperatures, or do you just sort of let them go to sleep? So Lisa, the point of not planting until 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost is to get them in the ground, and they don't do a lot of top growth. They're doing root growth, and then they go dormant. So we're hoping that they don't need to be pinched back. But if your fall just goes on and on and on, and they grow big, yes, you definitely need to pinch them. Because you don't want the wind whipping. Think of all the cold wind and stuff. They'll never survive winter that way. Okay, you can check at the app under the wait list. It's near the favorites, I think. Oh, I didn't know that either. It will show any items that you're on the wait list. Now, isn't that smart? Thank you, Laurie. Lisa, do you put your sweet pea trellis up when you plant in the fall? No. Not until spring, because we definitely hoop and cover our sweet peas. Those little vines get so wind whipped, so no, we do not trellis them until spring. If you're unsure about planting in fall, what can plant in spring? So Cozy Cherries, you need to get the Cool Flower book and or the Cut Flower Handbook. It walks you through. The Cut Flower Handbook has you write in your dates that you look up on the internet and helps you figure it out. And that's what the big calendar is going to be about also. All of the cool flowers can be planted not in spring, but in very early spring. That is 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. No, in your dirt, what's the gold? Funny, Tina. So that is vermiculite. We actually reached out to the soil company to ask them that. That is the actual source of the vermiculite that's added to the soil. All right, my friends, I am going to wrap this up and go eat. I made chicken chili for dinner, and I bought really good bread to eat with it. Try not to eat carbs this late at night, but it's not working tonight. So, friends, thanks for joining me. Remember that I do 2 live shows on Thursday, TikTok and YouTube, showing some flowers. So y'all can join me over there tomorrow. Friday is the big harvest show. I hope you'll join me there. And if for some reason, I'm going to have to remember to ask about the wait list thing. And I'm going to look and see if I'm on the wait list. And if I am, then I'll know to tell y'all. If you hit the button that puts you on, it doesn't really do anything. So thanks for letting me know that, friends. And